The Rangers lost a frustrating weekend series in Houston, but they did see a former first-round pick and pitching prospect make his big league debut in Cole Winn. Are they going to see another one make his debut this week in Jack Leiter? We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Before we get into this weekend's frustrating series, the extreme litany of injury bugs that continue to bite the Rangers. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts for your ride or die. All the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Now, this was a frustrating weekend series loss for the Rangers. They took the first game in Houston on Friday night, extended their winning streak in Minute Maid Park to 6 straight games, which extends to those 4 games that the Rangers won in the ALCS, but could not extend it any further than 6 games. Dropped the final 2 in frustrating fashion, especially a Sunday game where the Rangers just really didn't have it pitching-wise in the last couple of games of this series. But offense-wise, the Rangers just gave it to the Houston Astros in that Friday night game, dropping a nice, cool 12 spot on them in a game that ended up being a lot more uncomfortable than it particularly needed to be, with a 12-3 lead after 6 innings, giving up 5 runs in the 7th, and having used the A side of your bullpen for the 8th and 9th innings wasn't ideal, but the Rangers at least got a win, avoided a sweep, and still, as we sit here on Monday, are atop the AL West with a 500 record, should be a little bit better. Really wish the Rangers took advantage of this Houston Astros team that is having a lot of issues with their starting pitching, but the Rangers couldn't do that because apparently Ronel Blanco is amazing now, and Christian Javier has figured out how to pitch again. Really inconvenient time for the Rangers to face those 2 guys that were just really excellent this weekend. But the overall news of this weekend was just the injury bug after injury bug after injury bug continues to plague the Rangers, this time biting Mr. Cody Bradford after 3 exceptional starts to begin his season. That has been put on the back burner. Cody Bradford is on the IL with a lower back strain, the 15-day IL. He couldn't throw a bullpen after his most recent start, so the Rangers decided to give him that full 15 days to recover. They don't think it's particularly serious, but the Rangers have to have all their starting pitchers at full health when they are throwing in this rotation, and they didn't want to chance it with Bradford and make this spiral into a worse thing, especially when they have Michael Lorenzen coming off the IL today. Monday, he is going to start against his former team, the Detroit Tigers, where he started last season and made an all-star appearance for the Tigers. So the Rangers have 1 starter down, and in comes another one. So the Rangers are back to a 5-man rotation. We might see it jump to a 6-man rotation at some point this week, just because the Rangers are in a 17-game in 17-day stretch. So the Rangers would like to get some of those original 5 guys outside of Bradford. So I guess the original 4 guys in the starting rotation a little bit more time of not having to pitch literally every 5th day this early in the season to make sure they don't have any more injuries, because after this, there's not a whole lot of reinforcements right there on the way. But they could get one in Jack Leiter. We'll talk about that in just a second. But the rest of these injury updates, Max Scherzer is facing hitters today. So he is still about a month to 6 weeks away from making his season debut. So that'll be sometime in mid-May, maybe late May. Hoping that I think as early as May 12th is probably the earliest we will see Max Scherzer. We'll see how this assignment facing live hitters for the first time this season, or I guess just this year in general for Max Scherzer is going to go. He's going to eventually go on a rehab assignment. Maybe that'll be the end of this week. Maybe that'll be next week. But the Rangers could really, really use him in this rotation because it started to show some cracks this weekend. It already has the last really week or so. The first not great performance from Eovaldi, even though he did give the Rangers 6 innings in that Sunday game where they ended up losing, still could have used a little bit more from him. 5 runs in those 6 innings, including a couple of home runs, not as many strikeouts as you would want, and a couple of walks. Not an ideal Eovaldi performance, but the Rangers only having to use 3 pitchers on Sunday was ideal, especially since they have been rotating guys in and out and in and out and in and out of up and down the minor leagues to the IL to the whatever different versions of the IL, because the Rangers had yet another injury this weekend to a different left-handed pitcher in Brock Burke. After a really rough game on Friday when he came in a no-leverage situation and just really did not have it. Burke is a guy who relies, it seems like, almost exclusively on his fastball these days. Would really like that change it to be a little bit better, like to see that slider be a little bit more effective against lefties, but it just wasn't. He got absolutely rocked and was so frustrated that he went and punched a wall with his non-pitching hand and broke his right hand. So he is on the 15-day IL as well. The Rangers made a move to call up Austin Pruitt. Had to make a 40-man roster move because Pruitt was not on the Rangers' 40-man roster. So Justin Foscue from the 10-day IL to the 60-day IL, meaning we are not going to see him for quite some time. Really just devastating blow again for this rookie who came up and played in parts of 2 games. Hitting 500 in the big leagues, and his one big league hit was an RBI single off of one of the best closers in the game after a 7-pitch at bat. That is brutal stuff for the first round pick and not what the Rangers were hoping for at all. Let's look at what this Rangers IL looks like right now, because it's important to keep that in mind when it is a frustrating start to the season. It is frustrating that the Rangers couldn't take 2 out of 3 against a depleted Houston squad, but right now, before the Rangers activate Michael Lorenzen, they have 5 starting pitchers on the injured list right now. They've got Jacob deGrom, who's on the 60-day IL. They have Max Scherzer, Tyler Mahle, who's also on the 60-day IL. They have Michael Lorenzen and Cody Bradford. Then you look at the relief corps, and you have, Brock Burke, Jonathan Hernandez, Carson Coleman, who is on the 60-day IL, and Josh Sborz as well. And then you look at the infield, and you have Josh Young, also on the 60-day IL. You have Justin Foscue, who I just talked about, also on the 60-day IL. And you have Nathaniel Lowe, a Gold Glover and Silver Slugger, and guy who this offense could probably use right about now. He did start a rehab assignment in Frisco, played this weekend in Frisco, and got a 2-run homer in the Sunday game. Is looking a little bit better, but that's going to be an extended rehab assignment for him. He's probably going to take about 2 to 3 weeks to get back to this Rangers lineup, which will be the beginning of May to the first-ish week of May. The Rangers could really use him with a little bit of an offensive fall-off from Jared Walsh, who had a great first week or so of the season. Ezekiel Duran, who has been in a little bit of a slump right now, a 583 OPS. Still putting together some solid plate appearances, but since he's not getting to play every day, that is something that is stunning his development as a 25-year-old. Really would like to see him be able to crack this lineup as an everyday player. Maybe might start taking some more at-bats from Jared Walsh, as Walsh's strikeout rate is starting to get kind of alarming. But again, it's really important to remember that there are so many guys on the IL right now, and the name of the game for this entire Rangers season, gotta always keep that in mind through 162, through the ups and the downs, is just stay around 500, stay in the fight, stay in the playoff chase for the first half of the season. Wait for those very good pitchers on the IL to come back, wait for this team to hit its stride, and then go on a stretch run and make the playoffs and go into the playoffs as a team with playoff experience, with a hopefully healthy and fantastic rotation and options in the bullpen, as well as an offense that could be incredibly lethal. And haven't seen the total lethality that we were hoping for so far. But since the Rangers are in this long stretch, they might need a spot start from somebody either on Wednesday or Thursday in Detroit. Could that be Jack Leiter's time to make his big league debut? And we're going to talk about another first-round pick, Rangers pitcher, that made his big league debut this weekend that I did not anticipate at all. Right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. So, with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your parts are also guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low and not sure if your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift up your head, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I can. That's right, the smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches in the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players for rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, download Monopoly Go, now free in the Apple App Store or Google Play. Now, the Rangers have been extremely transaction happy since I last recorded an episode. They have completed, I believe, 7 transactions, and that is before they even call up Michael Lorenzen off the IL today. They have just been going ham on these transactions, sending Nathaniel Lowe on a rehab assignment on a Friday, selecting the contract of Austin Pruitt on Saturday, placing Brock Burke on the IL, moving Justin Foscue to the 60-day IL, calling up Cole Winn, sending Cody Bradford on the IL, and optioning Yeri Rodriguez today, I guess at probably around midnight after yesterday's game. Yeri Rodriguez is no longer in this bullpen, which I kind of anticipated after a rough little stretch for Yeri. He's got options, and he has not pitched well, and the Rangers need fresh arms, so that's about what's going on with that. I was a little surprised that they made a move for Austin Pruitt, especially one that necessitated a 40-man roster spot, and moving Justin Foscue to the 60-day IL. I guess I guess that soft tissue injury, the oblique injury, is a lot more serious than we initially thought, and that's a bummer for Foscue. And I guess we'll see what Pruitt's got, because the Rangers need extra help in their bullpen, in their rotation, and because a lot of these guys in the rotation right now are a little injury prone. I mean, we saw Nathan Eovaldi only throw under 90 pitches yet again in this one, but still go 6 innings. And we've seen a real struggle from Andrew Heaney in the rotation. And I thought that maybe he was going to be the first one to go to the bullpen because Cody Bradford's been sensational. But with Cody Bradford on the IL, I guess the Rangers are still going to stick with this 5-man staff they've got right now and may add someone else in Jack Leiter. Jack Leiter has had 2 sensational starts, 1 not very good start so far this season, and overall the numbers are very impressive. He's getting a lot of swings and misses. He is not getting hit as hard in general, but he's definitely given up his fair share, more than his fair share, I'd say, of hard contact, giving up 4 home runs so far in this season in 3 starts, 3 of them coming in his most recent start, 3 solo home runs, though, because he has gotten better about limiting those walks. No walks in 2 of his 3 starts, down for Round Rock, or I guess 3 appearances, because the first game of the season was a piggyback start with Michael Lorenzen, who was making a rehab start, but his most recent appearance, 10 strikeouts, 6 hits, 3 runs, all of them off of solo home runs. Did have a hit by pitch, but 0 walks. And again, those 10 strikeouts are something you turn your head at and say, okay, Jack Leiter. Okay, maybe Jack Leiter kind of has turned a corner. Now, I'm not saying that I think he's totally ready for the big leagues right now. I mean, he had 18 whiffs in his most recent start, but to go along with those 10 strikeouts, that is impressive stuff from Leiter. But again, he's still getting hit hard. He's still relying a whole lot on his fastball, which is a good pitch. He was able to use the slider very, very effectively in his most recent start, along with the cutter. Not so much the curveball or changeup, but still was enough to get a lot of swings and misses against a pretty darn good Oklahoma City Dodgers squad that is a very talented AAA team with a very talented big league organization to go along with it. So the Rangers are maybe thinking, okay, maybe it's time for Jack Leiter to make his big league debut and get a spot start there. But I'm curious as to why the Rangers would call up him and maybe at this point to make his big league debut, because I don't think he's sticking in this rotation. The Rangers call him up, and I think that's what the Rangers want for Leiter, is once he comes up, once he makes his big league debut, to stay in that rotation. But this would be a win now move. This is not something the Rangers have officially said they're considering, but it's been highly speculated by the beat writers and Evan Grant and also Jared Sandler. Also threw out some speculation that he might start. Jack Leiter might make his big league debut on Wednesday or Thursday. He would be on normal rest, I believe, on Thursday, last pitched on the 12th. So 5 days after that would be the 17th, which would be Wednesday. So we'll see. And as of right now, the Rangers haven't named another starting pitcher in this Detroit series outside of Monday's starter in Michael Lorenzen. So it would make sense for Jack Leiter to come in and get his spot start, and it wouldn't be against the toughest team, the toughest lineup in Major League Baseball. If they called him up to make a spot start in the weekend series against the Braves, I think that would just be honestly very rude. Not great for Jack Leiter's development. Hey, here's the big leagues. Here's the best lineup we've seen in a long, long freaking time. Good luck, kid. That wouldn't be ideal. I mean, Detroit's lineup's not full of slouches by any means, but not exactly Houston's lineup or the Dodgers lineup or the Braves lineup. Would be a good way to get these guys in the rotation some extra rest in this very tough stretch where the Rangers have been cycling through guys in the bullpen. We'll see if the Rangers giving Andrew Heaney that extra day can help him out. It's been a rough go for Heaney in the rotation. I don't think that Jack Leiter's ready to be in the big leagues full time and stick in the rotation for now. I don't think that if the Rangers go to a 5-man rotation that they are going to jettison Heaney from the rotation for Jack Leiter at this point. I think that if Leiter came up, he would make one start and then go immediately back down. But as of right now, he's not on the 40-man roster. And so that would necessitate yet another 40-man roster move to get the Rangers to let their top pick in Jack Leiter make his debut on the 40-man roster and on the active roster. And as of right now, there's not a whole lot of spots on that 40-man roster that you can clear up without making some concessions of just cutting guys loose at this point. And I don't think the Rangers are necessarily going to do that. I mean, the obvious candidates would be if the Rangers just want to completely cut bait with Austin Pruitt or Yuri Rodriguez, then they could go ahead and do that. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of options there to clear up room on that 40-man roster. And so making yet another 40-man move that would be 2 in a span of a week of clearing up those roster spots, or if they want to move Nathaniel Lowe to the 60-day IL, I don't think they want to do that. I don't think they want to move anybody else to the 60-day IL in either Max Scherzer or Jonathan Hernandez. I don't think that's what they're wanting to do. Maybe Brock Burke to the 60-day IL. We'll see how long it's going to take for him to recover from that broken hand. That's the only other move that I could think the Rangers making to put Jack Leiter on this 40-man roster. But I think it'd be interesting. I think that he could give them one decent start and just give those guys in the rotation an extra break. I think that could be helpful. I think that this Cody Bradford injury is really horribly timed for him and for the Rangers as well. The Rangers are just being cautious and giving him that 15-day stretch to get fully healthy and reacclimated from that lower back strain. Hopefully it doesn't linger any longer than that, but back injuries always worry me just a little bit. Any injury to the starting rotation at this point, while the depth is just not there, is worrying for sure. But if we get to see a Jack Leiter big league debut, I would be very, very excited for him. And especially coming off the heels of another first-round pick that made his big league debut. That's right, Cole Winn is a freaking big leaguer this year. Not something I anticipated, and not something I anticipated happening as a reliever. an inning and 2/3 with 1 strikeout against the Houston Astros, coming in a big spot with the bases loaded to try and keep that game still within range. Wasn't quite able to do it. The Ranger offense clawed back and made it look a little bit more respectable with that 3-run semi-jack from Marcus Semien, a 4 RBI day for him on Sunday's game, a 5-8 loss, but Yeri Rodriguez just did not have it in that 7th inning, and Cole Winn came in and tried to bail him out and wasn't quite able to fully get out of that bases-loaded jam without any of his inherited runner scoring. But hey, came in there, throwing upper 90s, around 97, and when he was in the minors, touching 98 this year, just fully gassing it out as a reliever because the starting experience seems to be fully over with Cole Winn. But hey, made his big league debut, got the Rangers some innings, and is sticking around. Yeri Rodriguez is the one who was optioned to make room for Michael Lorenzen and not Cole Winn, so we'll see how long he sticks around. I'm excited to see what he can do in a big league pen, having a starter's repertoire. He threw 6 different types of pitches in just an inning and 2/3, so I'm excited for Cole Winn making his big league debut, and there were not a whole lot of hopes from me or from the fan base, I think, in general at the beginning of the season. But hey, no matter what happens, Cole Winn is a big leaguer, and he is making an addition to this bullpen that is finally having some role changes after a shaky start from their closer. Coming up, we're going to talk about that and a little bit of worries from this offense early on, right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at finance news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including 401k and other investments. A comprehensive perspective is what sets apart great investors, and it's how Yahoo Finance ensures you have the insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For a comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Now, the Raiders had a couple of different rookies this weekend get a welcome to the big leagues moment. For Cole Winn, it was literally welcome to the big leagues. Here you are against the Houston Astros in a bases loaded jam that you did not get yourself into, but you need to get us out of, and he did pretty well in that. But the other rookie that got a big welcome to the big leagues moment is a guy who's been there from the start of the season in Wyatt Langford. And your welcome to the big league moment is, here's Angel Hernandez, the worst umpire we may have ever seen or maybe ever will see, calling you out on strike 3 on 3 pitches all the way out of the strike zone, including the final strike being the furthest pitch outside the strike zone that Umpire Auditor, the Twitter account, has ever tracked. 6.7 inches outside the strike zone. Just an absolutely horrendous, egregious, unforgivable call by Angel Hernandez. And what does Wyatt Langford do? Not scream and yell like I was doing and maybe you were doing, but just lowers his head and says, "That's not a strike," and then walks back to the dugout. I mean, what an impressive way to handle the most egregious bit of umpiring I think I have ever seen. And when the umpire scorecard came out after that game, where all 3 of the worst pitches, the most impactful, horrific pitches in a bases-loaded 1-out jam where the Raiders could have broken that game even further open, instead, Wyatt Langford's getting called strike 1, 2, and 3 about 3 to 6.5 inches outside the strike zone. All 3 of the worst pitches were those 3 strikes, all in a row. Just mind-boggling stuff, giving those kind of calls to JP France, who had absolutely zero composure and ability to locate the fastball or really any pitches for that whole game. But nope, let's give him the benefit of the call and continue to get Wyatt Langford some not ideal strike calls. But hey, after the game, he's like, well, that's not a strike. I know the strike zone. I'm not going to expand my approach. I'm not going to expand the zone. Whether those strike calls, eventually it's going to even out for Wyatt Langford. And he's going to start getting called a fair zone. His chase percentage is the top quarter of the league. Same with his swing and miss rate. Same with his strikeout rate. All those in the top quarter of the league. He's not hitting the ball very hard because he's not getting a whole lot of great pitches at this point. But he is still working good counts, good quality at bats. He is still slumping for what he would call it. I mean, a 338 on base percentage is not terrible, especially when you're in the 97th percentile of sprint speed. But hey, that's what Wyatt Langford is getting right now. He is taking what he is getting. He's moved down a little bit further in the lineup, and I'm not worried about him at all. If we get to, it's been a month in the big leagues and he's still slugging under 350, then I might start to be concerned. But this is a smart kid, a talented kid, a hard-working kid, and eventually he's going to start crushing some pitches, and once he gets his home runs, I think it will be coming in bunches. So I'm not too worried about Wyatt. Very impressed by him handling the egregiousness of Angel Hernandez, why we have not progressed beyond the need for Angel Hernandez as a society yet, I don't know. How he still has a job, I honestly don't know. And how other umpires haven't started saying, yeah, that guy sucks. He makes all of us look terrible because he has been openly defiant and unapologetically horrendous for about 30 years now. Yet, he still gets to keep his job, still gets to umpire at the big league level, even though there are hundreds of umpires in the minor league that are significantly better than him, because that's the way baseball goes sometimes. As it does with this big league pen. Sometimes your big league pen blows some leads. Sometimes your closer blows leads, and sometimes that closer blows enough leads that he is out of the closer's role entirely. And that is what has happened to Jose Leclerc just a couple weeks into the season, and Leclerc is out of that closer role. The Rangers gave him a low leverage situation against the Astros in a winning situation. Comes in, allows a walk, allows a hit, gets a couple strikeouts, does not allow a run, keeps that game close before Brock Burke blew it less open, let it become less of a blowout at that point. And Grant Anderson also helped to become less of a blowout at that point, till the point where the Rangers had to use their now top two guys. Kirby Yates comes in the ninth inning, gets what is not a save because it is a 4-run game, but Robertson came in that 8th inning, and the Rangers have pretty much solidified their tree of trust. It has changed, and now Brock Burke is on the IL. Jose Leclerc is out of the highest leverage situations. Seems to be he's going to be pitching in some lower leverage situation, but right now the tree of trust for me, and I think how the Rangers see it, Kirby Yates is probably going to be the closer for now. David Robertson's probably going to be the 8th inning guy, and the 7th inning high leverage guy, I think for now it's going to be Jacob Latz. Latz has been very impressive so far this season. Not something that I expected to be saying. I honestly didn't expect Latz to make the opening day roster, but here he is, 7 games into the season, 8 2/3 innings, has not allowed a single earned run, just a couple walks and 8 strikeouts for him. I mean, that's impressive. It's very impressive from the young lefty who looks unfazed. He's 28 years old and finally stepping into a big league role in this pen. Has got a good arsenal, knows how to use it, knows how to attack lefties, and outside of Yordan Alvarez, knows how to get most lefties out, which no shame to Jacob Latz, because there are very few lefties that can get Yordan Alvarez out. Heck, there's very few righties that can get Yordan Alvarez out, but he has made his way up into that tree of trust. I think the Rangers trust him as more than just a lefty specialist, as just a good reliever. Because right now, the tree of trust, you got those 3 as your top 3 options in your maybe kind of trust category. Right now, I would say the Rangers have Jose Urena and Cole Winn, maybe Leclerc, or maybe Leclerc is down in the don't trust zone where I have Grant Anderson and Austin Pruitt as the Rangers. I don't know if I quite trust those guys just yet at this point. But having those 3 guys in your tree of trust of Yates, Robertson, Latz, you hope that Leclerc can work his way back to the confident, dominant closer that the Rangers saw in that World Series run last fall. But he's got some time to work his way back into that role, and having guys like Yates, like Robertson, and now like Latz as well, gives you those options to where if somebody's not getting the job done, you can just plug somebody back in, which is not what the Rangers had last year. It was, all right, let's let Will Smith go out there and until somebody else figures things out, he is going to be the closer. And that was the case for the first 4 months of the season. Even when he stopped having it figured out, there wasn't really any other option. Right now, even if Yates starts to poop the bed a little bit, you got Robertson there. And if Robertson also starts to fail a bit, you've got Latz. And then hopefully soon, you're going to have Josh Spores off the IL. Maybe you'll have Jonathan Hernandez coming off the IL. The other options the Rangers have on their 40-man roster are Antoine Kelly, who right now is on the 7-day IL for Round Rock. Not sure what happened there, but he has not pitched in about a week. So we'll see if he gets his big league debut sooner as opposed to later. They also have Mark Church down there in AAA, who has had a bit of a walk problem, a bit of a getting hit hard problem. So I don't think he is going to be necessarily the first option. Hernandez is still on the 15-day IL, and I think that he's probably going to be the first option to get called up and the first option to help reinforce this pen outside of whenever Josh Spores comes off the IL. But again, just having options is a very nice place to be, which is also what right now this offense has. And so far it has needed it, because I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about Cory Seager not being 110% right. It feels very picky to pick on a guy who just finished second in MVP voting, just won his second World Series MVP, and is hitting 300 with an on-base of 400. But as of right now, Cory Seager is not quite his full Cory Seager self, because his slugging percentage is below 400, which is not something we're used to seeing. He's only got 3 extra base hits, right now a couple of doubles and just 1 home run in 65 plate appearances, and his barrel rate is in the 13th percentile. Hard hit rate is below average, below league average, and his chase rate is also at the 31st percentile. It's just not quite the same Cory Seager we're used to seeing. He's taking some first pitch hanging breaking balls and just pitches that he would normally destroy, and he is expanding the zone a little bit more than we saw last year. He just hasn't looked quite right, but again, he's still got a 400 on base percentage at hitting 300. It's just the incredible standard that Cory Seager has set for himself. His range defensively is in the top 20% of baseball, so that's nice that his defense is there. He's walking a lot more than last year, top 16% of baseball in terms of that. His strikeout rate is still above average. He's still striking out fewer times than average, and he's still got that top end max exit velocity. He hit a ball 112.2 miles per hour this season. So it's still in there. He's just figuring some things out and still tinkering. Like to see a little bit more home runs from this offense that hasn't been super homer happy as of yet. I mean, they've only got 3 guys in the lineup. Actually, 4 guys in the everyday lineup with multiple home runs. Jonah Heim, Marcus Semien, Evan Carter with the second home run of the season. And of course, Adolis Garcia, who has been absolutely crushing it to start this season. Hopefully the Rangers can start to get a little bit of the rest of their lineup a little bit hotter. Hopefully a hot streak from Wyatt Langford would really, really help this team. And Cory Seager just figuring out that tweak. It took him a little while last year to find that power swing the first couple weeks before he got on the IL the first time. He only had 1 home run, was hitting more singles and walks, and then once it turned into late May, that's when Cory Seager started finding his power swing. Might take him a little bit of time again this year. He is coming off of that sports hernia surgery. Still not 110% Cory Seager, but he is still putting up good numbers. This offense has been good, not great, and it's nice to know there is still another level in there for this team to find. Hopefully they start to find it a little bit more in this series in Detroit, and even more in the weekend series against the Atlanta Braves. But hey, a couple weeks into the season, Rangers aren't in the best spot, but they have got some reinforcements on the way. It has been a wacky first 2.5 weeks, but hey, the Rangers are still atop the AL West, and things are going good enough. And for now, that will just have to do. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.